Nothing contained in this podcast should be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. This content does not represent our respective employers and is purely the opinion of the podcast hosts. We are not your personal medical providers. Sorry, friends. So, if you have concerns or seeking a diagnosis or treatment, please seek individual advice from a healthcare provider in your area. We are not liable for any risks associated with acting upon the information contained in this podcast. This is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only, so enjoy the ride.
Please drink responsibly and in moderation. Before drinking, please be sure to be of the legal drinking age for your country. We do not encourage the misuse of alcohol.
Welcome to Medical Media Mixer, the perfect cocktail. I'm Nicole Peniston, psychologist.
And I'm Tara Prisco, physician assistant. Hey, what's up?
What's up?
What's up? Oh, God, those commercials.
Hey, you started it.
I did.
I'm just quoting.
I didn't mean to, but it happens.
I'm just quoting. What's up with me? As I was telling you before we started recording, I worked from home today because I only had 2 patients and they were both telehealth and they were both first thing in the morning. So I was like, I'm going to work from home the rest of the day.
Right.
Had a beautiful plan, had all my stuff laid out. Didn't even get like half of it done yet for no darn good reason. There was a complication with my second patient, which I had to do a little bit more work around than normal. I blamed it on that, but that was not.
No.
I don't know what happened. I put on music to like focus.
Yeah.
I didn't have the TV on. I usually don't have the TV on when I work from home, but I tried so hard and I was like, crap, it's 6 o'clock. We have to record. I'm not even close to done, but it's okay.
No.
I'm blaming it on, I got so little sleep last night. I just could not fall asleep. So I'm blaming it on that.
Well, yeah, that definitely makes you scatterbrained. As we've talked about before, sleep is very important.
Well, hopefully my drink, which is not the featured cocktail, so I'll mention it now, will help keep me more alert. I am drinking a pumpkin espresso martini, courtesy of Trader Joe's.
Oh, nice.
It's a little strong. I think if I made it again, I might mix it with something. I feel like it would be delicious over ice cream.
So it's pre-made?
It's a bottled. Yep, pre-made bottled.
Because you have a Trader Joe's with alcohol near you.
Yes. So they have
near me don't.
Yeah, they have just the regular espresso martini, which I also bought because I searched for it high and low last year. Couldn't find it anywhere. So when I went to the store about 3 weeks ago, they had both the regular and the pumpkin spice is new for this season. So I bought 2 bottles of each because they were literally last year, they sold out 3 times within minutes.
Oh my goodness.
So I bought 2 bottles. I don't regret it. I was worried that I wouldn't like it. This is good. It's just a little strong. I would cut it with something, maybe just some other coffee or espresso.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's very sweet, strong. That's what I mean.
Oh, I gotcha.
But it's not bad.
Okay, nice.
I'm happy with my purchase. I see now why it sold out so quickly.
Trader Joe's is one of those places that work because things are very seasonal that everybody's must get now.
Well, their Halloween tote bags, mini tote bags came out yesterday.
I heard.
I didn't get to go and I did not have time to do today and I don't think I'm going to have time tomorrow. So I've just decided I'm not getting a Halloween tote bag. I didn't get the little mini Easter ones either. So it's okay.
It's okay. I'll need
survive.
More bags.
I don't need more bags, but I want more bags. It's like a daily thing.
So we'll have to put this up on the socials, but I am wearing this sort of snuggy thing that Nicole gave me. It's like this hoodie and it's all soft and it's got all kinds of cocktails and martini glasses and coupe glasses and wine glasses all over.
And some champs is on there too.
Some champagne, all of it. So it's perfect. It is going to be my new recording uniform because it is comfy and it is cold weather season coming.
It is. I actually wanted to get a matching one for myself, but they only had one. And I was like, I'll give it to Tara. It's okay.
Now I gotta think. I already have one idea for your birthday, possibly. See, thinking.
Oh, I feel so special that you're thinking about me ahead of time.
So I was saying today, even though the weather's getting cold, I was outside for a couple hours. It was actually really nice. And a shout out to Aberdeen Township because I went to their employee health fair that they do every year. We had a table for my work, but I also brought podcast stuff. So I gave a bunch of cards to the managers and we mentioned it to people, but I gave a bunch of cards to the managers and they're like, we're going to put them in their mailboxes. I'm like, you should give them an incentive for listening to episodes. That's what you should do.
I like that.
So we'll see. Hopefully, maybe we'll get some bump in listeners from them. That'll be fun.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, so it was like a half real day, like half day of patients and then a half day of that, which was nice. It was a little break.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to have that balance. Next week, I'm going to a conference for 2 days, which I'm excited about, but that means I now have to cram 5 days of work into 3 days. So I'm kind of hustling, but it'll work out. It'll be fine. And it'll be worth it. It's going to be a really good conference. And I get to go to Atlantic City for 2 nights. So.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I haven't been to a conference in so long. It sounds so stupid that like I would want to do that, but I would.
I love conferences. I love the networking, the getting to know other professionals. I love learning about new stuff in the field.
Yeah.
I love when they have like the little like vendors where you could see like the cool products people are selling for the field. I love a conference. Love
I
it.
know. I'm going to have to just book myself one and just go.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Leave
Well,
the fam.
I'm sure you have like fun conferences places. Like psychology conferences are in like DC or Chicago, which are fine, but like they're never going to be in like Hawaii or like Florida.
No. I mean, ours, I mean, I guess there's so many multitude of medical ones, but usually like the PA main one, it's places like that, you know, similar. But we'll see.
Although we did have one in New Orleans right before COVID, and I went to it, and Kim met me in New Orleans, and we hung out.
Nice.
Shout out to our friend Kim. And it's a good conference. I've been to it before, but it's international, but it's a very small group of people, so it's the same people every year. So it was kind of funny to see like these like huge professionals, big names in the field, like strolling into a conference with like a giant like drink from Bourbon Street and just like hanging out. But it was fun. And like I said, it's so small that everybody's kind of like family. So like you can do stuff like that and nobody would really think of anything.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice. All right. Now I'm inspired. Next year, 2026, I'm going to book myself a conference.
Hey, maybe if the pod takes off, we can go to a podcasting conference.
Seriously. There is one, but it's in like Florida in the middle of the winter. And I'm imagining all the germs that I'm a little scared of catching.
Well, there's several. There was one.
Yeah.
There was one I had shared with you a couple months ago, but it was on like a Thursday in New York, and we were like, "Yeah, that's not happening."
Yeah,
but yeah, there's cool stuff out there, so we'll have to branch out and see.
Yeah, network a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get a little bit into what I'm talking about today.
Okay.
My cocktail is called the HIIT and Sip, the High Intensity Iced Tea, Spicy Burn Edition.
Ooh.
So what's interesting in going along my topic, now this was also invented, this particular cocktail by ChatGPT, but I think
your boyfriend Chat.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He made a cocktail for me too.
Spoiler alert. It reminds me, do you remember when people would do the lemon maple syrup cayenne cleanse, like they think that was going to make them lose weight or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not.
I never did it, but I remember.
It's not exactly that, but it has some of those nuances. So it's 2 ounces of gin, 3 ounces of chilled green tea, which is unsweetened and brewed strong. So, you know, throw a tea bag in and steep it for 3 minutes or so. Let that cool. 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of honey syrup. And honey syrup is same idea as simple syrup. It's 1-to-1. So 1, part honey, 1 part water, heat it up, good to go. And then a pinch of cayenne pepper or a thinly sliced jalapeno, and then soda water.
Which
so you
did
shake
you
up.
use?
I used the cayenne because I was going to buy a whole jalapeno for this. Although I'm a little bit afraid the cayenne may have settled. It did. It settled in the bottom. So when I get to the end of this, I mean, I have a shaker here still with some in it, but
up a little.
I might end, I should have brought a spoon. I'm going to end up with like choking on cayenne. But basically you take all the ingredients except for the soda water, shake them up over ice in a shaker, and then pour them over some fresh ice and throw some soda water on top. It says you can garnish with a lemon wheel, mint sprig, or a little extra cayenne, but I didn't garnish. I'm keeping it simple.
That's fair.
But it's pretty good. I mean, it's green tea with lemon and honey. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And then a little bit of spice on it. So pretty good. So what we're covering today, so as far as the TV show, there was a documentary about The Biggest Loser. So it's kind of covering a little bit about The Biggest Loser, but mostly the documentary. Did you watch this?
I did. It was very triggering for me. I don't think I actually sat down and watched The Biggest Loser. I think we were maybe a little bit too young for that, but I knew of it. But certain things in it were very triggering as far as like the fat shaming and things like that. They were really upsetting.
Yeah. Like, so actually, so the show, the documentary is fit for TV. It's called The Reality of the Biggest Loser, and it was out this year. But The Biggest Loser was out 2004 to 2020.
Yeah.
It was out a long time.
And they didn't, or unless I missed it, but I feel like they didn't go over why it ended. But didn't it end like right after they started doing the children's seasons? And those seemed really inappropriate.
They did children's seasons. Yeah. I think they did chill things out in later seasons, but the early seasons were pretty wicked.
Were intense. Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know, The Biggest Loser was a reality TV show where contestants competed to lose the most weight. So they would have like this weekly weigh-in. And it was just the way they did the whole thing, the big scale. They were down in their sports bra and their, tight like biker shorts. It was just very cringe. Like, why are you doing this to these people?
But it was definitely a very like cultural moment, because I remember like certain workplaces would do their own version of The Biggest Loser and like split people into teams and like make it like a health challenge. So it was definitely like a cultural moment for that. It
was, but the way, at least when the show started, it was very much fat shaming. I mean, I
think it was cringy and fat shaming the entire time.
Yeah,
they just got better at being PC about it.
Yeah, probably. They used to do those challenges like about like you get an extra advantage if you eat the most like cupcakes or some random food that they would pile up. It was like gross. But anyway.
Or like that, I'm sure you'll talk about it, that one woman who literally almost died in the first episode.
Yeah.
And they talked her into going back.
Yeah. So, they had these experts on the show. So they had two personal trainers, essentially. Like they divided them into two groups. And then they had a doctor supervising. So according to the documentary, the doctor was not happy with the way things were being done. Mm-hmm. But obviously he didn't put his foot down enough, because the way they were doing things was very dangerous to these people's bodies.
Yeah. My impression was that the producer had a lot to like kind of quieting the doctor.
I'm sure.
Like, making it good for TV.
Yeah. So they were limiting the calories severely. Mm-hmm. So typically when we want someone to lose weight, we're looking at 1 to 2 pounds a week maximum as safe. Half a pound, even safer. They were going down 10, 15 pounds in a week. They were calorie restricting to like 800 calories a day.
But that being said, if someone's eating something like 80,000 calories a day and then going down to a normal calorie, they're going to lose a lot of weight at first.
Exactly.
But then they were restricting below that even more.
Exactly. So typically when you do calculate for weight loss, you're going to what their ideal body weight is, and you're using those calories is what you want to max at the day. Like that makes sense. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if your ideal body weight is 200 pounds and they calculate out how many calories, that's what you go by, not by
the standard like 2,000 calories. Yeah.
Right.
Or less.
Less. I mean, less than 1,000 calories a day is not recommended in any form, in any diet. So yeah, the average weight loss in a season for these people was 150 pounds in a season of a TV show.
And a season wasn't that long. It was probably less than 6 months.
Yeah. And, when you see in the documentary, unfortunately, most of the people gained it back. There was like 1 or 2, I think, who did. I can picture 2 of them who didn't.
Well, and even they did gain some weight back, not all the weight, but like nobody was staying at that super skinny, almost anorexic level.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But it popularized this extreme exercise, calorie restriction. And there were the 2 trainers. So Jillian Michaels, and then the guy, now I'm going to lose his name.
Issues with Jillian.
Yeah.
What is the guy's name?
I know,
I remember he started off as a nice guy and then that switched like halfway through.
Yeah, exactly.
I can picture him. He ended up having a heart attack.
Right. He ended up having medical problems in the end. Now I got to look it up because I lost who
I want to say Steve, but I don't think that's right.
User trainers. So it was Jillian Michael and Bob Harper.
Bob, yes.
Yeah, Bob Harper. And, it went through that very typical trainer yelling at you. You do it. Come on, you get up off your ass. Like really like in your face and whatever. I know of the time, I guess, things like that were acceptable. And
Yeah. Well, and I think like initially Bob was doing that, but it was more of like, you can do it. Like, keep on.
Right.
Like, and like Jillian was like, you're fucking lazy. Like, you stupid
Right.
asshole. You can't do it. Like,
Yes.
she was definitely cast as like the villain, but then I think she
Exactly.
leaned into it a little too much too.
Exactly. What's interesting is I feel like she did more marketing herself from the show than he did. And she did end up doing all kinds of products and things and videos.
And then she had her own personal downfall that they don't go into in the documentary, but she had some serious personal issues.
Oh, I don't know her like personal life.
If I'm remembering correctly, and I may not be correct, so let me actually Google it. I feel like she had some relational issues that got some involvement. Let me Google this first because I don't want to misspeak and confuse her with someone else. Well, you keep going. I'll tell you the Jillian gossip later.
Okay. All right. But basically, the way they were doing it, this extreme weight loss, when we do anything like that, you're going to be losing muscle mass. You actually, you're increasing your risk of injury. They show the one woman who they were running on the beach or something, and she literally like hit the ground, like basically passing out. I believe, for what I recall, I mean, she was dehydrated, but she also probably had something called rhabdomyolysis, is where your your muscle breakdown actually causes your kidneys to shut down. So that plus the dehydration shut her kidneys down. She was hospitalized, and they did bring her back. Now, I do feel that the doctor protected her when they brought her back.
Yes,
thank goodness.
Because she didn't do as many of the challenges, and the other people got mad at her because of it.
Right. He protected her from a lot because he was actually being a physician like he should have been. So at least he did that, and he kind of told the producers, like, you can't, like, you're going to kill this woman, basically. But everyone was at risk of that. That was one, but everybody's bodies were taking hits. And then there's this alleged use of stimulants. So they definitely were using some caffeine for sure. And there was a question whether they were using some other supplements that had stimulants in them. So between that, the aggressive exercise, the calorie restriction, and then the medical supervision not being so great, it definitely showed some dangerous things. And there were definitely some ethical concerns brought up with that. So one of the things that's interesting, and there was actually a little sort of study done on The Biggest Loser after the fact that is fairly misunderstood. So extreme weight loss, so that severe calorie restriction and intense exercise, it seems like it's a great idea at first, but when you drop down that low, that you actually can slow your metabolism. Mm-hmm. Your resting metabolic rate, the calories your body's burn at rest, can drop significantly if you have rapid weight loss, and then your body enters sort of survival mode. So it's only burning, as many as it needs to just stay alive, essentially. And that's why, things like that, the maintaining of the weight loss becomes an issue because your metabolism now is shot. And so even if you go back to moderate, eating and exercise, you're going to regain a significant amount, and it might actually be harder on your body than it was to begin with. So, it also compromises your immune system a bit. So, because remember, if your body's only kind of using enough fuel to sort of like stay alive, there's certain things that are going to take a hit. So like rapid weight loss will say people's like hair thins or their nails get brittle, because those are like the least important things in your body. When it gets to this severe, you're going to be more susceptible to illness. Your athletic performance will eventually take a hit because your muscles aren't being fed what they need. So it really backfires, significantly and damages their bodies.
Well, in addition to that, I was surprised that some of the intensity of the workouts was really extreme, and I was surprised there weren't more injuries from that alone. Mm-hmm. And I know a couple of people got injured, but they didn't really focus too much on that in the documentary.
So they had a landmark study actually following The Biggest Loser contestants, and they lost an average of 128 pounds during the show, but their resting metabolic rates dropped dramatically. 6 years after the show, most had regained 70% or more of the weight they lost, despite maintaining diet and exercise routine. So like I said, they didn't go back to what they were doing before. They just did like a moderate, maintenance phase type of a thing. And researchers found their bodies were burning far fewer calories than expected and making them unable to maintain their weight long term. So, and that was a Harvard study. So that was a real study done on that phenomenon, which is pretty crazy. So, we've talked about obesity before. We've talked about the GLP-1 medications, but just to kind of reiterate, if anyone hasn't listened to that episode, obesity is considered a actual diagnosis. It was recognized as a chronic disease, and we've kind of shifted our thought process that this is more of a metabolic disorder associated with genetics. Yes, of course, there's some social things involved and there's some other causes, but it is a multifactorial disease, and it's not just because somebody's willpower isn't there. It's not just because somebody, whatever, doesn't take care of themselves. There's more to it than that. And about 40% of the US adults actually meet criteria for obesity. So you can't look around and be like, oh, it's not me. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of people whose weight, really is in that criteria. So I guess back then when this is all they had, that's kind of the method they were going for. I mean, we've lived through lots of diet culture, right? There was the 80s where it was just low calorie, right? But low calorie was like higher starch, like
and
empty,
jazzercise.
Yes. Oh, and low fat. So everything was low fat. Do you remember like the labels and everything? Low fat, low fat, low fat.
Yes. What was it? Snackwells, those cookies.
Yes. Artificial sugars, things like that to combat that, to bring the calories and the fat down as low as possible. And then we came into later where everything's low carb, keto, and all these phases that we've gone through. But honestly, anyone who is seeking to safely lose weight should be under the guidance of a medical professional and a registered dietitian to help them with the diet. And that is not your person online who worked for an MLM, who is a life coach, or whatever.
I'm laughing at both you and then something I had Googled to find out about Jillian Michaels, and they were both equally funny at the same time. So my laughter was appropriate for both.
But yeah, I mean, a real registered dietitian, I just want to kind of outline what that is, because it's not a nutritionist. That is a colloquial term. That is a common term. That is not what an actual registered dietitian is. Somebody who is highly educated. So they have a bachelor's degree in dietetics, nutrition, or a closely related field. And then most have a master's level degree in a nutrition field. They have supervised hours, just like, we did for our fields, and they have to pass a national certifying exam, and they are state licensures. So, these are people who are trained in all things food, not just weight loss, weight gain in patients in a nursing home who might need more calories or more protein, a patient who has a wound that's not healing and they have to calculate how much protein they need in the day, a person on dialysis who we have to watch their phosphorus, their potassium, their proteins. So these are people who are highly trained.
Yeah, I had to work with a nutritionist both before and after my gastric bypass.
Let's get it right.
Dietitian before and after my gastric bypass, because before it was just to make sure that you would be prepared for the dietary changes, kind of to assess you. And then after it was to make sure you were following it, which I wasn't, but not in the way I look like now. I was losing too much weight. I'm sure you remember where there was definitely a time when I was much, much too small.
Yes.
And it was because I wasn't following the advice that she was giving me.
Right.
I think part of it, which I don't know, this didn't really come up in the documentary, and I don't know if it's different because I had the surgical weight loss, but I think a big issue that I had was I had and continue to have no appetite. So it was trying to associate food with times or with certain things in order to make sure you are eating, because there were definitely full days I would go and not eat a thing because I didn't feel like I needed food. Right. And that's dangerous in itself.
Absolutely. And that's why after bariatric surgery, there are, like you said, that support, somebody who's supposed, training of what you should, how much protein, vitamin levels, things like that. You can become deficient in significant vitamins from, either weight loss or weight loss surgery. So having a true dietitian to guide you is very important. Yeah. And that's, there are a lot of online influencers and things like that that are not trained. There are a couple really good resources for dietitians online. Actually, I'm going to try and remember this one. I'm going to put a couple of their names in the show notes. Are people who are trusted, actual factual sources and good people to follow for this information, because they are trained and have the degrees that go along with it. So that's important to get your information from the right place, because your health is important. The other thing is, there are doctors who have additional degrees or different certifications, I guess, in obesity medicine. So there's something called the ABOM, which can certify you. So you can have a physician, an MD or DO that has a medical degree, done a residency, board certification, all those things, but they do additional 500 hours of fellowship focused on obesity, along with a continuing medical education. They have to pass a specific certifying exam and maintain a certification. So some of those, some bariatric surgeons would have this additional certification, but also some primary care providers may have it who end up going into more of that weight loss support. So those are also people who are educated in it. And then exercise wise, it's interesting because training for personal trainers is pretty varied. So it's not really regulated by the state. There are these other online places you can get certifications. So what I could find, you have to have a high school degree. And then there's these certification programs. So there's one called the National Academy of Sports Medicine Certified Personal Trainer Program. And they have an exam that you can pass. But there are a couple other ones out there. There's not one that seems to be the thing, and they are not, again, state licensed or regulated in the same way that all these other professionals are. So I'm not saying don't go to a personal trainer, but anything that's to the extreme is probably not appropriate, or anything you don't feel comfortable and your body doesn't feel comfortable probably isn't appropriate. Pushing yourself is one thing. Pushing yourself to the point where you are ill is another thing.
I'm wondering if some of these big chain retail gyms have their own special qualifications for their personal trainers.
I bet they do. And I bet they have sort of an in-house class also to take. But again, people, I don't know if you remember Beachbody. Everybody was a Beachbody coach. Yeah. Everybody, there's no training for that. That's an MLM.
Forever ago, when I actually exercised in grad school, I was doing this thing called Red Hot Bar, and they had Red Hot Yoga. It was Red Hot was the brand, and I really, really liked it. And I mean, I wasn't as heavy as I am now, but I definitely was not in shape. But I would go every week. I really enjoyed it. And one week, the lady came up to me. She's like, "Oh, you should be a trainer." And I'm like, "Girl, me? I'm not the one who should be up there leading the class. Yes, I can do it, but no, this is not who should be running this class." But I do think that was probably another MLM sort of
it's
thing.
It's a recruitment.
Trying to recruit people.
Exactly.
And then I just had to tell you a funny story since we're talking about trainers. The last time I went to a personal trainer, which was probably 3 years ago, was before I hurt my shoulder. I just went to essentially have this guy tell me what should I be doing each time I go to the gym, so I just don't spend an hour on the treadmill and go home. And so he walked me through a bunch of stuff, and he's like, "Oh, well, are you worried about your glutes?" And I was like, I've never gotten any complaints. And he's like, "Oh, well, if you just want to firm them up," he's like, "I'm a certified glute specialist." And I was like, "Dude, are you telling me you're an ass specialist?"
I'm an ass man.
That was actually what his joke was back. He's like, "Yes, I'm an ass man." And I'm just like, I mean, he was cute, so he could pull it off. But I was just like, really? An ass specialist? Goodness. I don't know if that's an actual thing.
I'm a bootyologist.
Yes. I was like, I don't know if you can say that, but whatever.
When he walks in the room, it's like, "I like big butts and I cannot lie."
Well, apparently mine was too big for him. He said I needed to firm it up. So never gotten complaints otherwise, though.
Big booties are great. I love big booties, too.
Look, I've fallen on this thing multiple times, and it's always offered cushion. So.
Good cushion.
Sorry for that interruption. I just thought you would enjoy it.
So, basically, the conclusion of this is I think that show was harmful in general. And I think mentally, probably even people who watched it there was definitely some harm done there. I think that it perpetuated a specific type of diet and exercise culture that just really wasn't good for people, for humans. I just think that having the right people on your side and somebody who's trained and understands how to guide you through this is the best way to do it, and to do it in a healthy way. You know, I can't tell you, I do medical weight management in my job. I do prescribe the GLP-1 medications, but that is always a tool in the toolbox. And I would always suggest the patient sees a dietitian. And if they are working out, that they make sure that, you know, seeing a personal trainer, maybe, like you said, get some general information, but I wouldn't suggest something very, very high intensity that their body's not ready for.
Yeah.
So I just think in general, it's about safe weight loss and taking that stigma away from things, you know, that yelling at you, you're lazy, get off your butt. Like, really?
Well, that was what really struck me in the documentary, that one woman who was in it with her best friend, and they end up like not being friends anymore. And she said she just felt so ashamed, and it literally gave her like flashbacks to early childhood trauma. And I was thinking about it in the form that I think about the same thing about addiction is a way to self-medicate from trauma or from something that's going on. It's not that different with eating and food. It's a way to self-soothe and to self-medicate. You know, nobody wants to become obese. Nobody wants to get to that level where now people are fat shaming them and they're afraid to walk down the street. And I remember that particular woman in the show said that was when she really realized why they called it The Biggest Loser. It wasn't about losing the most amount of weight. It was basically fat shaming every single person on that show and getting the entire country on board with it.
Yeah.
And it's true. I think there was an aspect to it because they didn't want somebody who was just mildly overweight on the show. They wanted morbidly obese people on the show. They wanted to watch these people fall down when running. They wanted to watch these people vomit because they were so exhausted. Like they wanted that for TV, and that's not okay for anyone.
Yeah. I feel like now probably everybody who's associated with that show takes a look back. Like at the time, it sounded like a good idea.
Well, and a lot of those people they wanted the help. They were desperate for the help. So they didn't care, or they didn't think forward about how shaming it would be. They just were desperate and wanted the help.
Right. What's her name? Caroline Rhea, whatever, who she hosted a few seasons, and then Allison Sweeney hosted a few seasons.
Which ironically, both of those actresses have had their chunky times. I thought it was interesting that they both chose to be on this show. And I know Allison Sweeney's in the documentary and talks about how uncomfortable it was for her at times.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm thinking for them because, they had both had ups and downs throughout their careers and things that we saw. So,
and I'm sure their careers heavily influenced that. I'm sure they had probably some unhealthy dieting techniques at points in time because they both did have pretty drastic ups and downs throughout their careers.
Yeah, I remember Allison Sweeney from Days of Our Lives.
Yes.
Because my mom watched it.
Wait, what was her name? Oh,
I can picture her. She was Marlena's daughter.
Yes. Sammy.
Sammy, yes. And
Sammy. Yes.
Yeah, Marlena's daughter. So, yeah, I don't know. Days of Our Lives. Ugh. That was such a big part of growing up.
We've mentioned that show at least twice so far. We mentioned that Marlena getting possessed by the devil.
Possessed, yeah, of course. I mean,
who was that hot guy that was her boyfriend for a little while? He had like dark hair. He was very smoldery.
There was her husband.
No, he wasn't her husband. He was some other dude.
Well, there was her husband who was her husband, and then he got taken away by the bad guy. I can't think of his name. And they came back looking differently.
Because it was a different actor?
It was a different actor. And then it found out that no, he wasn't her husband changed. He was John Black. John.
Yes, John. That's who I'm thinking of.
But that was the whole storyline. That Roman was the husband? I think Roman,
yes, that sounds about right.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. It was too much.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was the background of my childhood. Every time I was home sick and my mom was home, she'd have Days of Our Lives on, you know. So even though when The Price is Right or whatever else was off,
Days of Our Lives. Yeah. Well, as I'm sure you already know, and I've probably already said on the podcast, my parents' favorite was Young and the Restless, and I am named after their favorite character.
Yes.
So Mickey Newman. Who had her own drama, and she's still on the show as far as I know.
Do some of these shows still exist?
Yes.
I guess they do.
Yes, Young and the Restless. My mom, she still has TiVo, which is an issue. She TiVos it every week and watches it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was a big GH fan, and that went off the air. So
Yeah.
But I also
watched
liked Passions. And what was that?
Passions. Oh my goodness, with the doll, the creepy doll.
Yes. And then what was that other one that was like only a half an hour? It would come on right before Passions. I watched those like 3.
Yes. I can't remember the name of it.
And then there was the GH spinoff of Port Charles, which wasn't quite as good.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be in a soap opera.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm like, that's a job for life.
That really is. I mean, you are filming every single day for years.
Unless you're like a 5-year-old child, then when you get too old, they kick you out. But otherwise,
or they change you out for a different actor.
Yeah. But once you're an adult, that's like a lifetime job. Susan Lucci.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, seriously, she was like the longest running.
And she finally got her Emmy at the end.
I know. That was the longest running thing too. How many years she went without an Emmy? Oh my goodness. Well, back.
That was a tangent.
That was a large tangent, but I like it because it is very much reminiscing.
I mean, soap operas aren't that different from reality TV. So was it really a tangent? I don't think so.
They also perpetuated some weird stuff. So.
Exactly. Yeah, so we're on topic.
And you all had to be perfect with your hair and your makeup and your clothes. Everybody just rolled out of bed looking like that.
Of course.
And, you know, what's interesting, those are like the first sex scenes you've ever seen in your life, which is basically just people under a blanket kissing. That's
or kissing until it fades to black. And then, because I know you're going to cover the show in a couple of episodes, the smell the fart acting. From Joey, which was so spot on. I want to know who wrote that because was so spot on.
The writing, smell the fart acting. It's so true. What was his character on Dr.
Drake Ramore?
Yeah, Ramore, yes.
That is scary how I knew that immediately. That's scary that I knew a fictional soap opera.
Yes, I am actually rewatching for our upcoming episode. We'll give a little sneak peek. All of the Thanksgiving episodes.
Nice, those are some good ones.
Friends. So apparently, season 1 was a great, like the original. Season 2 really wasn't about Thanksgiving very much.
Yeah.
Season 3 was the football one, which is also a classic. So I have to watch the rest of them. That's as far as I got. Watching there's 10 of them, so 15 more to go.
I don't know if I've seen all 10 of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's 10 seasons. I think I've seen every single episode of Friends multiple times.
I've seen most of that. Maybe I just can't remember the Thanksgiving episodes for everything.
Yeah, I have to. Some of them are more memorable than others. So
yeah,
like the first one in the football one. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. So anyway, we will stop tangenting and we will keep our tangents for our Patreon. So if you want.
If you want more of this off-topic nonsense,
most of the randomness, definitely hit us up on Patreon, and we'll do some last calls, which we're going to be recording. Lots of just random banter. We don't even know what we're doing for this one. We're just going to make it up as we go.
We're going to do shenanigans.
All right. So thank you for listening to Medical Media Mixer.
The perfect cocktail. Cheers. Clink. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Medical Media Mixer podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps others find the show. Want to keep the conversation going? Follow us on social media. We're at Medical Media Mixer Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and on Pinterest, the Medical Media Mixer board.
If you'd like to support the show and help us grow, check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. And on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. If you have a topic idea, feedback, or just want to say hi, send us an email at medicalmediamixer@gmail.com. You can also stream all of our episodes and find more info on our website, medicalmediamixer.podbean.com. We're available on all major podcast platforms, so no matter where you listen, we're there. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, keep mixing medicine and media.